TFL EV is brought to you by Flow Charger, maker of reliable, high-quality charging stations for your electric vehicle.
Hey everybody, I've got a really fun one for you today because in this video we're going to find out, can the brand new Kia EV6 power your life? Or at least a really questionable tailgate. Now here is the backstory. Kia came out with a fantastic new fully electric vehicle called the EV6. It looks like a spaceship, it's quicker than some Porsches, it's just magnificent. But the one feature that has me the most excited is something called vehicle to load. And vehicle to load, I mean, it's not a fantastic name, but it is a fantastic feature. You see, this new Kia has 77.4 kilowatt hours worth of onboard electricity because it's got an enormous battery pack to propel it down the road. But when it's just sitting in your garage or sitting at a tailgate, you can use the energy from that battery pack to power things. And we're going to give it a go today. So let's see how it works and let's see what we're going to be powering. Now there's a couple of ways you can actually access that 77.4 kilowatt hours. There is a standard power plug underneath the rear seat, or there is this crazy dongle that they sell you, which plugs into the charge port. Comes in this handy little carrying case. It is quite expensive, and when I say quite expensive, I do mean, well, ridiculously expensive. It's over $500, but it looks like something out of Tron. And let me show you how it works. If you want to come over here, Matt, this is where the charge port is on the Kia EV6. It glides open, and that's where you charge up the battery. But using this port, you can actually discharge the battery to charge up your life. So I'm going to take this connector and then simply pop open this end, plug it in like that, and then if I expose the underside of this, you'll see there is a 3-prong 120 volt outlet. And now what we can do is discharge the Kia to charge up or to power a number of things. Now let's talk about how you would run this kind of crummy tailgate the old school way. What I have here is a good old-fashioned generator. Now of course it is quite heavy because you haven't met squirrel and gerbil, but this generator is very old school. It's got a little gasoline engine, it's got a couple of power plugs on the end of it, and we'll start it up and, you know, show what the process was like in the old days. So I'm gonna go to the choke here, I think that's pretty much it, and then you just end up pulling endlessly because, of course, this has been sitting in your garage all winter and it's probably clogged up with varnish. And this is exactly what would happen at your first tailgate because, of course, you don't take care of your generators because no one takes care of the generators, but eventually squirrel here comes through and the generator wheezes to life in a cloud of noise and a little bit of smoke. But now, of course, are you running? Are you good? Now, of course, we can power stuff like the Keurig coffee machine. The all-important Keurig. So you plug that in, right? And then, you know, you just let this run in the background while you're trying to talk about football and Tom Brady and the Avalanche and the Dodgers and I don't know football or the terms, but whatever. You get the point. Very old school, loud, stinky, got to fill it up with gas, but it does work in a pinch. Now the Kia is going to do something quite different. So let's see if we can power up and make a nice cup of Morning Joe using this charge dongle. So I'm gonna stretch this over here, plug it in like that, push the little on button. You can see that that light turns a slight green. I don't know if that's gonna come through in camera, but now let's see if the coffee machine will actually boot up. That's a good sign. Power on, things are whirring, digging that. And while that warms up, I think, yeah, it's heating up. This is working. So we'll let that make us a cup of coffee. While that's doing that, I want to show you the other cool thing about the system. Because, of course, you are drawing electricity from the battery, at what point does it stop? Is this just going to run the battery all the way out to the point where, like, you have no electricity left to drive home from the campsite or from wherever you're powering stuff? No, it is much more clever than that. Matt, if you want to come over here, you can see not only on the display does it say transferring vehicle to load, V2L, but it also has the kilowatt rating at which it's outputting, and then we also have the percentage of battery remaining. And then in the screen here, this is going to be really hard to show, but we're going to try it anyways. In the screen here, you can actually go into a menu which allows you to shut the system off after a certain amount of power has been drawn. So if you want to preserve the battery at 50% so you have enough to get home, set it at 50. If you want to set it to 30, set it at 30. And now I'm realizing I actually forgot to put the coffee in. That's how much coffee I drink. But survey says, come on, buddy. Is it going to do it? Oh man, I just love technology. You get the camera out, you start rolling, and nothing works like it should. Ha! There it goes. And just like that, I will be throwing out a great cup of coffee. Actually, I won't be drinking it. I'll probably give it to Nathan or someone. But it works great. So for a small appliance like the coffee machine, everything seems to be going really, really well. But I think it's time we step it up a notch because, of course, I understand that, you know, coffee only gets so many people going, but what about if we want something a little stronger? Let's make the ultimate wake-up shake. So I've got a bottle of horrible limeade Gatorade, I've got a can of horrible Red Bull, and then I get a can of surprisingly decent Dr. Pepper. So let's go ahead and move the coffee machine out of the way and see if we can blend up our concoction of quickly wake up in the morning. You know, we'll start with the limeade Gatorade there. Splash in a little bit of the wings, and then top it off with a can full of the Doctor. Doesn't this look great, Matt?
No.
Never had this to wake up after a long night of studying. Fantastically good. All right, that should be enough. We'll make sure the top is secure. Now, of course, this is going to draw quite a bit of power because this blender is a little bit retro and not one of those energy efficient ones, but all right, we're gonna go ahead and plug it in just like that. Start it up. Will it work? Oh yes. Looks like a banana daiquiri. That is horrible. All right, see how the wake me up tastes like. All right, that's terrible. We'll be sure to give that to Nathan. I'm sure he'll appreciate that. Everything we're making today, of course, goes to Nathan. Now that was quite a significant power draw, but not as much as the next item because say none of the wake me ups are working and you want to perhaps do it right and make yourself a pancake or a waffle. Well, we've got this little griddle here. And let's see if we can power up the griddle. So we're gonna go ahead and plug it in. There we go. And can we turn it on? Power, preheat. Darn! Man, everything we tried is working. This is awesome. So we'll let that be, and then we'll show you the inside. And I want to show you something pretty cool here. So you can see up on the screen, it shows you that we are drawing 1.4 kilowatts. So not only does it power your item, but it tells you how much electricity is coming out of the system. Now, that little plug in the back is only rated at about 15 amps, but do not stress because the vehicle is rated up to, I think, 3.6 total draw, and you can get the rest of it. If you kind of look underneath here, Matt, down here by my feet, we have an additional power outlet, and you can get more electricity from down there as well. But I think our griddle is nice and hot, which it is. So if we wanted to make our pancakes, we'd be well on the way. So all of this has been cool and all, but let's try something even more radical. Can we charge up another EV from the back of the Kia EV6? Now, electric vehicles are particularly temperamental about the type of electricity that they accept because, of course, you got high voltage systems, we've got a lot of precision electronics, and they don't accept any electricity, and they're really particular on how they're grounded. So what I have next to us here is the new Volvo XC40 Recharge, and I am curious if we can even charge this vehicle off of this little Generac generator. I've tried this in the past with other electric cars. and it almost never works because of grounding issues with the generator. So here we've got the Volvo power plug. We'll go ahead and start up the Generac. I'm sure it'll start first try because that's how video works. Oh, God, frickin' A. This thing has been the biggest pile, in case you're wondering. All right, there we go. So that's running-ish. Let's go ahead and plug in the Volvo charger. And I'm not sure it's gonna work. See that right there? This ring turned red, and that is almost always because of the floating grounds on these generators. So if I actually take this now and plug it into the Volvo, it's not gonna start charging. Which is kind of a bummer, because of course everybody thinks like, oh, well, you can take a generator in an emergency, plug it in. Doesn't always work like that. Now if I had a bonding plug, I could kind of trick the system into thinking that it's grounded properly and I can kind of get it to work, but for the most part, these small generators do not work when it comes to charging an EV. But what about EV to EV? What if you're driving along on the side of the road, see your buddy in the Volvo, accidentally ran out of electricity? Can I plug in the Volvo into the Kia and borrow some of his charge? Let's see. So I'm gonna go ahead and insert this end into the little dongle here. We'll go ahead and make sure it's on, which it is. And immediately we are not getting that red light. So I think we might actually have some action here. Plug in the Volvo. Let's see what the car is saying. Initializing charging. I don't know if you can see that there on the screen. That's working. So charging info. Let's see how many amps that'll end up drawing in total. Stop playing radio. There we go. All right, 8 amps. Let's see how many it'll draw. 9 amps, 10 amps. Of course, this vehicle is capable of 48, 11. So it's working. That's really pretty cool. Now, of course, this is a very slow charging solution because we are only charging at 120 volts, which is what the Kia is outputting. And we're only charging, at this case, at 12 amps. So that's a charging speed, according to the Volvo, of 2 miles gained per hour. So even though we're at 50%, it would take, geez, like 20 hours to fully charge this Volvo at the current charge rate. But it does work, which is a pretty cool thing. Now, 3.6 kilowatts worth of total output on the Kia. You could power a lot of stuff in your house, but not everything. Like you couldn't power your dryer, you couldn't power, you most likely couldn't power your oven off this solution. A lot of that kind of stuff is 240 volts anyways. But very cool that you can do this. Great for tailgates, great for picnics and for camping. And in an emergency, you could power small space heaters and stuff using your Kia to help keep your stuff and your house protected in the event of a power outage in the middle of winter. Well, guys, let me know what you think of this fun video. As always, check out TFL EV for all the latest and greatest in EV charging tests and experiments.